Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This video is not going to be about gang stalking or anything like that. It's going to be a little bit more about me and family and some ideas I have about, people and the dynamics between people and staying away from toxic people. But especially I want to pinpoint, I guess I want to focus on an aspect called power struggle. Now, there's many people, of course, as you've noticed, that when you deal with them, this is, of course, out of no fault of your own. Um, this is just happens that there are assholes out there. There's people that will try to be rude to you, devalue you, do bad things to you, say nasty things to you. In short, it's a power struggle. They're trying to get a foot on you. And if someone's devaluing you, of course, it's not your fault, but if you don't win that power struggle in some way, you should disengage, avoid that person. You cannot form a relationship with that person. You cannot have any kind of contact unless it's strictly necessary. Because, what happens once they devalue you, and if you continue in a relationship with them, and I'm not talking about sexual relationship, I'm not talking about boyfriend, girlfriend, I'm talking about, just any kind of relationship. That person, that kind of just opens you up to abuse by that person, being taken advantage of, put into unfavorable situations. I know a lot of this is common sense, but I don't know, sometimes it's difficult for some people to mentalize this. Maybe sometimes I don't know, maybe you had a shitty childhood where you're mistreated and abused. So you think people treating you bad is completely natural. So maybe you don't even notice when people are treating you crap because you're just used to it. And that's just it. Stand up for yourself, no matter what. And this relates to gang stalking to a greater extent. I mean, of course, people laughing at you, saying nasty things about you behind your back is not an issue because it's cowardly behavior and that person hasn't actually said anything to your face and there's no way to prove that indeed that person has said something about you to your face. About you, but I mean, there's nothing to prove it. There's nothing to prove what they said or didn't say, because if you go and you challenge them, they'll call you crazy and they'll say, I didn't say this or that about you, I wasn't talking about you, I didn't laugh at you, I didn't say this and that. And most cases, most people will do that, right? I mean, you will ask anyone, right? Ask your friend, if you were talking shit about someone and they figured out that you were talking about them and they went and they challenged you about it, what would you do, right? I mean, you'd say, yeah, I would deny it. Of course. Most people would deny it, which is common sense. So that's the point I'm trying to make. That's why these things, when someone is saying shit about you behind your back from a distance, they haven't engaged you. So that doesn't, how do you call it? Doesn't impact you or your image. It doesn't impact your, I guess, your face, if you want to put it that way. It only becomes an issue when someone says shit to your face, and that needs to be dealt with immediately. So either you win that engagement, that power struggle, you tell them to fuck off, either overtly or covertly, using a little bit of I guess, a tactical sleight of hand, or you just avoid that person. Because the engagements between you and that person, the interactions between you and them are kind of set in stone now, and that's how it's going to be. So you want to avoid that kind of stuff. I mean, I just want to give you a little backstory about me and my family. Now, me and my family get along pretty well, and I mean my nuclear family, right? But I have some issues with members of extended family, like my aunts, two of my aunts, who are always being rude and nasty to me, without provocation, by the way. I haven't done anything to them. I've never insulted them behind their back or to their faces. I've never done anything rude or bad to them. Nothing, okay? They just, for some goddamn reason, because they're nasty people, they don't have goodness in their heart. You know, they just come and they insult me, right? And they try and do it in slight, you know, sly kind of ways, which I fucking hate because my personality is very direct. If I have a problem with someone, I'll tell them to fuck off right to their face. I'll be very direct in my beratement of that person, you know? Generally speaking, I don't go around saying bad things about people either to their face or behind it because I don't need to I'm too busy focused on myself, you know. I mean, why should I bother, you know, wasting my energy on negative shit like that? But you know, and plus for women, you know, this behavior, you know, talking shit about people, I think it's very cowardly behavior. Anyway, I'm sure people have better standards than that. I like to hold myself to better standards, but accountable to better standards. But you know, some people don't have standards at all, so whatever. But back to my families, they, you know, for example, they try to, you know, try to devalue you to your face. I catch them many times saying bad things about me behind my back. But I mean, you know, they'll insult me to my face. Not directly, they won't say any rude, nasty words, but they'll use some kind of devaluing term, you know. You know, like they phrase something like they'll be talking to me and they'll use pronouns like female pronouns to refer to me, you know, as an insult, basically, as if I was a woman, which is, of course, as a man, it's a massive insult. It's a massive devaluation of me as a person. It's like you're trying to kill me, basically. For you to say that to me, there's nothing between us. Like I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to. There's just nothing between us. You know, it's gonna be a very fake relationship. You know, just because we're family, but that's about it. And they do that, but I always challenge them on it. I catch them doing that, and I challenge them on it, and they'll deny it. They said something to your face and they'll fucking deny it. By the way, that's a form of gaslighting, just in case you didn't know that. So they'll insult you, they'll say something rude or mean to your face, and then when you call them out on it, you say, excuse me, even not in a necessarily rude way, just sort of like, excuse me, but you just said this and that. Why did you say that? That's very rude. You know, you don't have to be a jackass about it. You don't have to, you know, stoop to their level. Especially with family, I'm not inclined, of course, to cuss out my family because that's just, I don't know. Yeah, no, you know, she called me basically a woman indirectly, and I called her out on it, and she was like, no, I just meant this, and then fuck you, you know. That's stupid behavior, you know. So, you know, because they do this shit to me, my aunts, I don't talk to them anymore. I avoid them as much as possible. Don't waste your time with people who will treat you badly or devalue you in any way, because there's nothing to be gained from that relationship. Anyhow, you can only have a relationship with someone that is actually treating you on an equal footing. If they're trying to, you know, they're trying to stuff something down your throat and have the upper hand on you, then it's not a relationship. That's what it's called. There's a word for it actually in psychology, but yeah, I mean, it's, you know, power struggles basically. So yeah, of course, you know, people like that, they like to find rationalizations. You may have made a mistake in the past. You may have said something or done something that they don't particularly like. Maybe not even to them, but they'll just use any reason to make you out to be a prick, make you out to be a bad person, and therefore you deserve to be mistreated continuously for all eternity, right? There's people that think that way. Actually, a lot of people think that way. You'd be surprised. So I always have this conflict with my father because he likes to see people as being positive. I don't particularly. I see the negativity in people. I see the hypocrisy. I see the lies. I see the bullshit. I see the double-faced attitudes, and you'll be surprised by people. You know, just how nasty they can be when they can actually get away with it. You know, when they don't feel like they have anything to lose. Just how nasty they can be to you. Anyway, my point is not for you to be fighting these people. My point is just avoid them, okay? Anyone who devalues you in any sort of way, you don't want to have a relationship with. You know, you just want to avoid them as much as you can. And that's what I do mainly. Like with my family, I just avoid them as much as I can. I don't sit there sharing my life with them or anything like that. Of course, do expect them to try and guilt trip you and shame you. They will do massive amounts of that. And by the way, I mean you look into that. I mean I was just kind of unlucky, I guess. I had a shitty, unlucky. I'm not trying to whinge or complain, by the way. This whole channel is dedicated not to complaining and whinging, but I'm just trying to explain to you that I was unlucky in the sense that I fell into quite a serpent's den of a family that is full of narcissistic people with narcissistic tendencies. They're not complete sociopaths, but they are, you know, I'm sorry to say this, but, you know, I know they're my family and everything, and I would do anything to protect them and help them, but they're kind of like assholes, you know what I mean? My family's full of assholes. They're bad people, you know. They're not particularly good people, you know. I mean, I could give you countless examples, you know. I mean, you know, not just this shit from my aunts, but they're very narcissistic. They would keep telling me about how great our family is and how amazing it is and blah 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 blah. And you would never find such an, and it's all brainwashing, by the way. This is something that narcissists do. Actually, I want to talk about that a little bit. The brainwashing, you know, propaganda. Narcissists love this. As they abuse you, okay, most of my family is like covert narcissists, so they're all hidden under the surface. They're narcissists. They do appear a lot to be like victims, often the times, because like my aunt is being abused by her husband, was being abused by her husband. Not that she's a great person, you know, just because you're being abused by your shitty, well, you see, her husband is, I guess what you can call a classic narcissist. He's an overt narcissist. He's like narcissist douchebag in your face kind of thing going on. And he was very abusive towards her. But that doesn't mean she's a good person, right? Just because someone is being abused, and she was being abused, verbally in many ways, doesn't mean that she's a good person, right? I'm sure you can understand the concept. Sometimes someone is being abused, kind of like, I'm not saying brought it on themselves, but they're using that abuse as sympathy garnering, you know, like, look at me, I'm being abused all the time, and then people feel bad for them, and they think, wow, such a great person, you know, Mother Teresa, blah, 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 you know. So, yeah, that's my situation in my family. Now, not every member of my family is like that, but, like, my cousins are great. They're generally great, but it's mostly the women in the family that are fucking horrible. But actually, even my father, you know, unfortunately, is not such a great person either. He's a bit narcissistic himself. I mean, my father, I try to give him a little bit more leeway. I mean, he's good in many ways, bad in some others. I mean, you know, just to give you an example about some of the abusive narcissistic shit that happened in my family. Like when I was a kid, he just took a fucking like door of a, what do you call it, the trunk, you know, the trunk. He just like took that and just slammed it on my fucking head, you know. I thought I was gonna die. I was like 10 years old or 12. I had like a soft spot on my skull, and I was worried. I mean, he didn't take me to the hospital or anything, just because he was angry. I'm lucky I don't have brain damage. Or maybe I do. I don't fucking know. Who gives a shit? But you know, uh, yeah. And when I was a kid, once he wanted to show me a picture of him when he was younger, and for some reason I was 5 years old and I didn't want to see it. You know, children, they disobey, they do stupid shit like that all the time. You know, they bitch, they moan, they do all kinds of stuff, and I didn't look at his picture, and he got completely enraged. And that's when, like, when you narcissists are not normal people. They're not like you and me. I mean, I'm a bit of an asshole, as you can kind of get from this video. I don't know, my psychologist, he likes to disagree with me, and he says you present yourself as an asshole, but I don't see you as a social jerk. But I can sound like a jerk sometimes. I can be a bit insensitive, but I'm not narcissistic in any sense, if that makes any sense. I mean, you know, the point I'm trying to make is with these narcissistic people, it's like there are some things that you can do to them that will completely trigger this like deep-seated rage inside of them. It's called narcissistic rage. You can read about it if you want. And it'll just trigger that fucking rage, and you'll be like, what? Where did this come from, you know? And you're thinking like, hey man, I was 5 years old. 5-year-old kid doesn't even fucking know what he did or didn't do, you know? Just sitting there, his father wants to show him his picture when he was younger, and then he doesn't want to look for whatever reason. Maybe he was just upset for some other unrelated reason. And this supposed adult, you know, because of the narcissistic injury, right? He was injured, you know, well, you don't look at my picture, what? But then they overreact, you know, and that's the fury. And then what he did, he took me, he pushed me on the ground. I was standing, he pushed me on the ground. I fell face, like flat on my fucking face. And he just cusses me out and fucking like kicks me in the ass. You know, you fucking son of a bitch, how dare you not look at my picture? You ass wipe, you this, you that. And I don't remember what happened afterwards. Like, I don't remember if I cried or didn't cry. Probably didn't cry, actually. I was kind of messed up as a kid. But you know, yeah, that's narcissistic parents, shitty parenting, which predisposes you to all kinds of shit. And I think that's part of the reason, you know. If you had shitty upbringing, hey, you're being gang stalked now. You're having all this gang stalking shit and all these fucking problems, you know. People telling me I'm imagining all of this. No one is talking about you. No one is doing anything. Yeah, my fucking ass. But hey, I'm used to it. The whole gaslighting shit, you know, same bullshit, gaslighting, you know. They do it on us all the time, you know. They do the shit to you, they gang stalk you, and then they'll deny it and they say that you're the one who's crazy because you're talking about gang stalking because it doesn't exist and it's not real. You know what I mean? When it is actually happening to you, and the people most likely even know that it's happening to you. I don't know. It's like it's some kind of perverse kind of like fuck you, you know, like. We don't care about the truth. We don't care what's actually happening to you. We don't care the fact that you're dying from a heart attack. Just shut up, you know? It's like you're sitting there and you're dying from a heart attack and they're like, just shut the fuck up, man. Stop saying all this bullshit about heart attack. Dude, I'm having a heart attack. I'm not joking. No, you're crazy, man. You're making it up. Oh, well, okay, thank you. So that's basically it. I know this video is a little bit negative, doesn't really, not exactly a positive message, but the point I'm trying to make is all these negative people that devalue you and treat you like crap. By the way, I mean, I have a relatively good relationship with my father now, but I can kind of look back in the past and see just how fucked up my family was. And not only that, but, you know, how narcissistic they are. But of course, anyone that devalues you, you know, just power struggle, you know, if you don't win that power struggle, just fucking avoid these people like the plague. You don't need to talk to them. It could be something very small, you know, you just sense devaluation in any sense. It can be very slight and subtle. Just avoid such a person. Anyway, That's just a little tip, and some examples from my life. It's not so bad, I mean, you learn from these things, I mean, just avoid these people, you'll be fine, trust me. Anyone that treats you well with respect, doesn't devalue you, fine, that's good, then that's cool, I mean, sometimes people make mistakes, of course, and they can act rude and blah, 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 but so long as they apologize, fair enough. But I'm talking about the people that just devalue you and just kind of leave it at that, you know what I mean? And they kind of expect to keep that relationship like that. That's unacceptable. Anyway, I hope this helps you in some way, and stay safe. Um, you know, take it easy if you can. I can't, unfortunately. I'm a very combative type of person. I thrive in conflict. I one of my dreams was that I can get a podium and just shout all kinds of obscenities and pull my dick out in front of all these people that are gang stalking me and just be like, fuck you, you fucking sons of bitches. I wouldn't mind doing that. But hey, that's me. But of course, wisdom says don't waste your energy. You know what I mean? Just let it go, forget about it, ignore it, just move on. It's bullshit, you know what I mean? But someone does some shit in front of you, then, if you feel like it, go to town.